Imagine being a powerful CEO with just 20 minutes before your entire life falls apart. Daniel Reed stares at his screen in horror. A perfect deepfake video is about to destroy his reputation, his company, and his family. The blackmailers want $5 million, his tech experts are useless, and the countdown is ticking away. Then in walks a 14-year-old girl who notices something in the code that everyone else missed. How could a teenager possibly outsmart professional hackers when an entire corporate security team failed? The answer will change everything you think about who the real heroes are in our digital world, and why the most powerful solutions sometimes come from the most overlooked places. The corner office on the 31st floor was Daniel Reed's sanctuary. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling glass, glinting off the polished oak of his massive desk. It was Monday morning just after 10. The coffee was fresh, the city below was a silent, sprawling map of his success, and a pile of signed contracts sat neatly to his left. He was in control. He was always in control. A quiet knock came at his door. It was Karen, his executive assistant for the last 20 years, a woman whose loyalty was as much a fixture in his life as the desk itself. "Mr. Reed," she said, her voice trembling slightly. She held a tablet, her knuckles white. "A priority 1 email just came through. It bypassed my filters. It went to you and to all the board members simultaneously." Daniel frowned, annoyed at the intrusion and Karen's uncharacteristic nervousness. "A mass email to the board? Is it about the quarterly projections? I told finance to wait until Wednesday." "No, sir," Karen whispered, stepping inside and closing the door softly behind her. "It's not from finance." She placed the tablet on his desk. "Sir, you need to see this." On the screen was a still image from a video, a thumbnail. It was a bedroom dimly lit. It showed a man who looked exactly, unervingly like Daniel Reed. His face was clear as day. He was with a young woman, and the scene was deeply, undeniably compromising. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. A cold dread, foreign and sharp, pierced through his morning confidence. It felt like an electric shock to his system. "What is this joke?" he demanded, his voice tight, refusing to believe his own eyes. "Who sent this garbage?" His chief legal officer, Claire Maddox, burst in without knocking, her own tablet in hand. She had seen it. Her face, usually a perfect mask of corporate calm, was ashen. "Daniel, Karen, thank you. You can go," she said, dismissing the assistant with a sharp nod. Karen scurried out, closing the door. "She's seen it. The entire board has seen it," Claire said, her voice a low, urgent hum. "Read the email, Daniel. Now." He tapped the screen and the email popped up. The sender was anonymous, a meaningless string of letters and numbers. The message was short, brutal, and sickeningly clear. "Daniel Reed." The video attached is a preview. The full 10-minute video will be posted publicly to every major news outlet and social media platform in 20 minutes. It will go viral. Your career, your company, your family's name, all gone. Unless you transfer $5 million in crypto to the wallet below. You have one chance. The clock is ticking. Beneath the text was a long, complex wallet address and a countdown timer in stark red letters. 19 minutes, 47 seconds. "It's a fake," Daniel breathed, shaking his head, pushing the tablet away as if it were contaminated. "It has to be. I've never. That's not me. That woman, I've never seen her in my life." "I know," Claire said, her legal mind already 5 steps ahead, racing past the personal shock. "I believe you. But look at it, Daniel. I played the first few seconds. The voice modulation, the way your face moves when you speak. It's perfect. It's an AI deepfake, but it's the best, most seamless one I've ever seen. No one will question it. They'll believe their eyes, not your denial." The word deepfake hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. Panic, a feeling Daniel hadn't experienced since his first near-bankrupt business venture 30 years ago, began to set in. He felt trapped in his own glass office, exposed to the world. He grabbed his phone. "Get PR in here now," he ordered. "And where is Mark, our CTO?" "Mark is on a flight to Tokyo, completely unreachable for the next 8 hours," Claire said flatly. "I've already tried. And PR is on standby, but what do we tell them to say? We can't get ahead of a story that doesn't exist yet." If we pay, maybe it stays quiet. We're not paying blackmailers, Daniel snapped, the words tasting like acid. As if listening, a new email notification dinged on the tablet. It was from the same sender. The subject line read, "Proof of life. In case you're thinking of calling this a fake, a few things to consider. We know you spent last Thursday night at the Capitol Grill. You ordered the sea base and a glass of Macallan 18. This video was supposedly filmed that same night. We've also attached the facial landmark analysis. 1,700 points of articulation, matched to your last shareholder address. Your move. 1821. Daniel's blood ran cold. The detail about his dinner, it was true. It was a mundane fact, but in this context it was terrifying. They weren't just tech wizards, they were watching him. The attachment showed a 3D mesh model of his face from the video, overlaid with a scan from his last public speech. The dots matched perfectly. The feeling of control he had cherished just minutes ago was a memory. In its place was a raw, sickening shame. He was no longer the master of his own image. Someone else was. And the clock was ticking down to his execution. This can't be real. I never said that. I never did that, Daniel repeated, his voice rising with each word. He began to pace the length of his office, a lion in a glass cage. It's a disgruntled employee. It must be. Frank Miller, the engineer we fired from R&D last month. He was angry. He was brilliant. He could do this. Get security to pull his file. Find him. Claire shook her head, her expression a mix of pity and exasperation. Daniel Frank Miller couldn't code his way out of a paper bag. This is professional. This is military-grade psychological warfare. It doesn't matter who did it right now. What matters is that timer. She pointed to the tablet. The red number seemed to burn into the screen. 1,400 hours. Get IT in here. Now. Daniel roared. Trace the email. Find them. A few minutes later, two of his top network security specialists stood nervously in the doorway, their laptops open. They were the best he had, young, sharp, and expensive. Sir, the lead tech, a man named Ben, said, avoiding eye contact. We've been trying to trace the source since Karen flagged the email. It's a ghost. The email was routed through a dozen spoof servers across 3 continents in a randomized sequence. The packet headers are forged. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It's designed to be untraceable. Then what do I pay you for? Daniel slammed his hand on the desk, rattling a framed photo of his wife and daughter. He instantly regretted the outburst, seeing the 2 young men flinch. Claire gestured for them to leave. When the door was closed, she faced him. Daniel, your phone is going to ring any second. A board member. A friend. What are you going to say? As if on cue, his personal cell phone buzzed. The caller ID read, George Hammond. George was not just a board member. He was Daniel's friend of 30 years, his golf partner, the man who'd been the best man at his wedding. With a trembling hand, Daniel answered. George. Dan, tell me it's not real. George's voice was frantic on the other end. I just saw the email. My God, my wife saw the thumbnail over my shoulder. Is this some kind of sick prank? It's a fake, George. A deep fake, Daniel said, trying to keep his voice steady. Well, it's a damn good one, George shot back. The market's open in New York in an hour. If this gets out, we're looking at a 30–40% drop before they halt trading. The board is in full-blown panic. What's the plan? We're handling it, Daniel said, the lie feeling thin and pathetic. He ended the call, his face pale. The trust in his oldest friend's voice was gone, replaced by pure fear. We have 2 options, Claire said, pressing the point. We pay the $5 million. We wire the crypto and we pray they are honorable thieves who will disappear. Or we refuse and we go public right now. We frame it. CEO Daniel Reed, target of a vicious cyber attack. It becomes a story about security, not scandal. It's our only chance to control the narrative. No, Daniel said, his jaw locked. His father had built this company from nothing, and the Reed name meant integrity. He couldn't be the son who dragged it through the mud. We will not pay, and I am not going on television to talk about a video of that. His ego wouldn't allow it. Admitting he was a victim, especially in such a humiliating way, felt like a bigger defeat than the blackmail itself. "We should call the FBI," Claire said softly, a final plea. "Their cybercrime division in Quantico." Daniel spun around, his eyes wild with trapped fury. "And have this become an official federal case? You think I want this on the record forever? So every journalist, every future business partner, can pull up FBI file number 734 and read the sordid details? No, we handle this internally. If we have to, at the last second, we'll pay. But no one else finds out." He was trying to hold onto the walls of his life, but they were crumbling into dust. His fear of losing face was now greater than his fear of losing the money. He just wanted it to be over, to be secret, to be buried. But the clock kept ticking down, uncaring of his pride or his past. "Before we see what happens next, I have to ask you something. How does this make you feel, watching a man's life and everything he's built start to crumble in just a few minutes? It's a terrifying thought in this day and age. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from today and tell me, what would you do if you were in his shoes? Would you pay? Would you go public? Let's talk about it. Shut it down. Shut it all down," Daniel commanded, his voice strained and cracking. "Security! Shut down all Wi-Fi on this floor. Cut the external network access. No one leaves this floor. No one." The order relayed through building security was stark and absolute. Heavy magnetic locks on the glass doors to the 31st floor clicked shut with an ominous thud. Security guards, their faces grim and unreadable, stood by the elevator banks and stairwell doors. Employees, confused and murmuring, were stopped from leaving for lunch or meetings. They were trapped. Rumors started to fly in hushed tones. A hostile takeover, a bomb threat, a federal raid. The open concept office, usually buzzing with productive energy, now felt like a high-tech prison filled with anxious whispers. Far below, in the sprawling company cafeteria on the ground floor, it was an island of calm. The lockdown hadn't reached this part of the building yet. Lena Ortiz sat at a small table in the corner, an old pair of headphones over her ears. She was 14. Her father, Hector, was a janitor who had worked for ReTech for over a decade. He was a single dad, quiet and diligent, and with schools closed for a teacher workday, he had no choice but to bring Lena with him. "Stay in the break room, Mija," he told her that morning, his voice full of love and caution. "Don't bother anyone. Just be invisible, okay?" But Lena got bored in the windowless break room. The cafeteria had better light and the faint, comforting hum of the big refrigerators. She wasn't watching movies on her tablet. She was scrolling through lines of code on a public forum for digital forensic enthusiasts, her brow furrowed in concentration. It was a new open-source script that claimed to identify digital watermarks in compressed video files. To anyone else, it was gibberish. To Lena, it was a beautiful, complex puzzle. A security guard named Mike, doing his rounds, noticed her. He was a stickler for the rules. A kid alone in the corporate cafeteria on a weekday. It was unusual. "Hey, little girl. You lost? You should be in school," he said, his voice not unkind but firm. Lena pulled off her headphones. "My dad works here. Hector Ortiz." "Right. The janitor," Mike said, his tone shifting. He knew Hector. Good man, always kept to himself. Still, rules were rules. He pulled out his radio. "Hector, this is Mike at the ground floor cafeteria. Your daughter is down here. You need to come get her. Per the executive order, we're clearing all non-essential personnel from the common areas." Hector's voice came back, full of static and worry. "Yes, sir. I am sorry, sir. I am on my way." She was supposed to stay put. "I am sorry for the trouble." Meanwhile, back on the 31st floor, the situation escalated from a crisis to a catastrophe. Claire's satellite phone, the only one working, buzzed. It was a text from a trusted contact at a major news network. "Claire," the message read, "we just received an anonymous tip with a video file attached. A 10-second clip of your CEO. It's explosive. The source says the full version drops in 10 minutes. We're running with the teaser clip in our next segment unless you have a comment. Is this real? You have 5 minutes to give me something." Claire showed the phone to Daniel. The blood drained from his face. The blackmailer wasn't just bluffing. They had started the fire. The countdown clock on the tablet now seemed redundant. The bomb had already partially detonated. The pressure was no longer just internal, it was about to go worldwide. The feeling of being trapped intensified, the glass walls of his office reflecting their own panicked faces back at them. The timer on the blackmailer's tablet now read 5 o'clock. 5 minutes until the full unedited video was unleashed on the world. The partial leak to the journalist was already an extinction-level event for his career. The full version would be an apocalypse for the entire company. There's no way to stop it now, Ben, the lead IT tech, said, his voice hollow with defeat. He had been staring at his monitor for 20 minutes, running every diagnostic he could think of. Once the send command is initiated on their end, it'll hit hundreds of servers at once. Social media bots will pick it up and amplify it. It will be everywhere. The only way to stop it is to find the source server and kill it. And we can't find it. It's the most sophisticated masking I've ever seen. Daniel's carefully constructed world was shattering. His hands were shaking so badly he had to clench them into fists. He stumbled over to the wet bar in the corner of his office and poured a glass of water, his hand rattling against the glass. He looked at the photo of his wife and daughter on his desk and felt a wave of nausea so profound he had to brace himself against the wall. This wasn't just about stock prices anymore. This was about their faces when they saw the video. "We have to do something," Claire said, her voice sharp, cutting through his haze of despair. She was a fighter. "My plan. Public confession. It's our only move. We issue a statement right now. I've already drafted it. We say the company and its CEO have been the target of a malicious digital assault using advanced AI. We frame ourselves as the primary victims. We control the narrative. Maybe we survive." Daniel turned from the window, his face a mask of agony. "Confess? You want me to stand in front of the world and say, 'Please ignore the video of me you're about to see'? They'll laugh me out of the room, Claire. They'll call me a liar." Just then the office door opened. It was Hector Ortiz, the janitor, holding his worn work cap in his hands, his head bowed, his shoulders slumped in apology. Standing just behind him was his daughter, Lena. "Mr. Reed, Miss Maddox. I am so sorry," he said, his voice thick with a Spanish accent, heavy with shame. "Security called. My daughter, Lena. I am here to get her. I am so sorry for the disturbance at a time like this." He was apologizing for his daughter's very presence, a minor inconvenience in the middle of their world-ending crisis. Daniel, stretched to his breaking point, snapped, "Just get her out of here, Hector. We don't have time for this." He instantly regretted the harshness in his tone, but the words were already out. Hector flinched as if struck. But Lena wasn't looking at Daniel. She had followed her father, her curiosity piqued by the tension she could feel from the hallway. From where she stood, she had a clear view of Ben's monitoring screen. It was a chaotic mess of scrolling numbers, data packets, and network graphs. It was the digital storm the IT team was lost in. But Lena saw something they had missed. A tiny flicker. A packet of information with a metadata signature that didn't match the thousands of others. It was out of sync. It was wrong. Her eyes narrowed. She quickly pulled out her own tablet, tapped open a simple network analysis app she'd built, and pointed it at the screen. The app confirmed her suspicion. She mumbled to herself, so quietly it was almost lost in the tense air. The timestamp protocol. That's not right. But Claire, whose senses were on high alert, her ears tuned to any whisper of a solution, heard it. She turned her head sharply, her gaze cutting past Daniel, past Hector, and locking on the small girl in the hallway. "What?" she asked, her voice cracking like a whip through the tension. "What did you just say? Something is about to change. You can feel it, can't you? If you're on the edge of your seat like I am and you want to see how this all turns out, please take just a quick second to hit that red subscribe button. You are not going to want to miss what this kid does next." All eyes in the room swiveled to the hallway. Hector looked horrified, pulling gently on his daughter's arm as if to shield her. "Lena, vámonos. Come. We must go. These people are busy." But Claire strode forward, her high heels clicking decisively on the polished floor. "Wait," she commanded, her eyes fixed on Lena. What did you see? What was not right? Lena, suddenly the center of attention, shrank back for a second before her natural curiosity took over. She pointed a small, steady finger at Ben's monitor. The data packets, she began, her voice quiet but clear. They're designed to look like they're coming from all over the world to hide the real source. But that one, she indicated a specific flickering line of code. The timestamp is wrong. It's using a server clock that doesn't automatically adjust for daylight saving time. Most modern systems in North America and Western Europe have done that for decades. This system is either very old, or it's from a country that doesn't use it. It's a mistake. A small one, but it's there. The two IT specialists, Ben and his colleague, stared at their own screen, then at Lena, their mouths hanging slightly open. They had been looking for a needle in a haystack, and this child had just pointed out that the needle was a different color. I think I can find where it's really coming from, Lena said, her voice gaining confidence. But their firewalls are strong. My tablet doesn't have enough power. I'd need to use a real terminal, with direct access to the network core. A heavy, profound silence fell over the room. The timer on the blackmailer's tablet now read a terrifying 3:45. Daniel looked from the burning red numbers to this child, this girl whose father cleaned his office toilets. A girl he had never noticed in his life. It was absurd. It was impossible. It was also the only hope he had. Claire, ever the pragmatist, made the call. Hector, bring her in, she said. Let her work. Ms. Maddox, con todo respeto, with all due respect, she is just a child playing games, Hector pleaded, his protective instincts at war with the command from his boss's boss. Right now, she's the only one in this room with an idea that isn't surrender, Claire countered, her voice iron. Reluctantly, Hector led Lena into the CEO's inner sanctum. A few executives still lingering in the room murmured in disbelief. You're letting a kid touch our systems? One of them hissed. This is insane, Claire. Lena ignored them all. She walked straight to Ben's empty workstation, her face a mask of pure concentration. She didn't even glance at the company's expensive, user-friendly security software. Instead, she opened a raw command prompt, a black screen with a blinking cursor. From a simple USB drive on her keychain, the one shaped like a cartoon cat, she loaded her own tools. They were a collection of open-source scripts, Python code she'd written herself, and programs she'd found on the deepest corners of the web. It was her personal forensic toolkit. Her fingers, small and nimble, began to fly across the keyboard, the clicks echoing in the silent room. The executives and tech experts stared, mesmerized. The frantic, desperate energy had been replaced by a stunned awe. She wasn't clicking on icons. She was speaking the computer's native language. The video file, Lena said, not looking up. Can you play the first second of it on a loop? Claire tapped the tablet. The horrifying brief image of Daniel's face played over and over. There, Lena said, freezing the screen. She pointed. I found a tag, hidden inside the file's MP4 hash. It's a unique digital fingerprint, but the frame pattern intervals are set to 25 frames per second. That's the PAL broadcast standard. It's used in Europe, Australia, and parts of Asia. It is not the 29.97 NTSC standard, used here in North America. She finally looked up from the screen, her gaze sweeping over the stunned adults. This wasn't made by an American, she said simply. And that server clock that doesn't use daylight saving, I think I know where to look. Who taught you this? Daniel asked, his voice a rough whisper, full of a strange mix of awe and personal shame. He had an entire department of highly paid experts who had failed. And this girl, with her free tools and laser-like focus, was methodically dismantling the threat. Lena didn't answer. She was too focused. The two clues together, a non-standard clock and a PAL video format. It's not foolproof, but it narrows the search from the entire world to just a few specific regions in Eastern Europe or Central Asia. On the screen, she launched a program that looked like a map of the world, with lines of data jumping chaotically between continents. It was the same messy picture the IT team had been looking at. But Lena was ignoring the noise. She wrote a filter command, telling the program to ignore 99.9% of the traffic and only show the path of the packets with the specific timestamp signature she'd found. The chaotic web of lines vanished, replaced by a single thin, determined thread. It jumped from a server in Germany to one in Ukraine, and finally landed on a single blinking red dot. "There," she said, her voice rising with the thrill of the hunt. "It's a small private server host. Unlisted IP range. In a city called Cluj-Napoca. In Romania." The timer on the tablet showed 0:45. Less than a minute until global humiliation. "Can you shut it down? Can you launch a counterattack?" Claire asked, her voice tense. "No, I don't have that kind of access," Lena admitted. "But I think I found something better. When they sent you the video file, they embedded a piece of code. It's a return command. I think they were planning to use it to wipe the file from your systems after you paid. To clean up after themselves, to remove the evidence." She paused, pointing to a specific function in the code. "But the command is written poorly. It's arrogant. It doesn't just delete a local file. It sends a master shutdown signal back to the origin point of the command string. It's a kill switch." She looked from Claire to Daniel. "It's like they built a secret door to sneak out of the house, but they left the key in the lock on our side. It's a backdoor. They left their own digital door wide open. If I can trigger that command from right here, it should not only delete the video from your tablet, but it might send a cascading failure notice that shuts down their whole server. If I'm right." "And if you're wrong?" Daniel asked, his heart pounding. "If I'm wrong, nothing happens and the video goes public in 30 seconds, Lena said, her gaze unwavering. This was it. The final moment. Daniel looked at his highly paid IT team, who were staring at Lena with undisguised reverence. He looked at Hector, who was watching his daughter with a terrified, beautiful pride. He looked at Lena, calm and certain. In that moment, he wasn't just authorizing a tech command. He was placing the fate of his entire life, his legacy, in the hands of a person from a world he never knew existed. He surrendered. He let go of his pride and his power and put his faith in her. He gave a single firm nod. That was all Claire needed. "Do it," she said to Lena. Lena took a deep breath. Her finger hovered over the enter key for a single eternal second. She pressed it. The room held its breath. The clock ticked to 3, 2, 1. Then the video on the blackmailer's tablet flickered and vanished, replaced by a simple, beautiful message. File not found. Simultaneously, Ben's monitor, which was tracking the Romanian server, flashed red. Host offline. Terminal shutdown detected. On another screen, a notification popped up. The blackmailer's crypto wallet, which they had been monitoring, suddenly registered an outgoing transaction for the full amount of its contents. "What's that?" Daniel asked, bewildered. Lena allowed herself a small, brilliant smile. The kill switch command also had a bug. It triggered a wallet exploit I read about on a forum last week. It automatically sent all the money in their account to the International Red Cross. The room was dead silent. They hadn't just survived. They had won. The power had been completely, utterly reversed. And it was all because of the one person in the building no one had ever thought to see. The silence in the room finally broke. Ben, the IT lead, let out a long, slow whistle of pure admiration. Claire sank into a chair, the tension draining out of her so fast she felt lightheaded. Daniel Reed just stared at Lena. This quiet, brilliant child who had just handed him his life back. "Why?" Daniel finally asked, his voice softer than anyone in the room had ever heard it. It was devoid of ego, full of genuine curiosity. "Why do you know all of this?" Lena finally looked away from the screen, the intense focus in her eyes softening. Now that the crisis was over, she seemed like a kid again, a little shy under the weight of everyone's stares. "A couple of years ago there was a video," she began, twisting the hem of her hoodie. "It was about Mr. Evans, my 7th grade history teacher. It looked real. It showed him saying terrible things. It went all over the school, all over town. Everyone believed it. The school board fired him. He lost his job. His family had to move away." She paused, and her father, Hector, put a comforting, calloused hand on her shoulder. He knew this story well. "I liked him," Lena continued, her voice filled with a lingering injustice. "He was a good teacher. He made history feel alive." A few months later, the kid who made the video confessed it was all a lie. A deepfake he made with an app to get out of detention. But it was too late. Mr. Evans' life was already ruined. I hated that. I hated that a lie could look so real that it could destroy someone's truth. She looked up at Daniel, her eyes clear and direct. So I started learning. I watched hundreds of hours of videos on YouTube about digital forensics. I read forums and white papers about how to spot fakes, how to trace where things come from. I taught myself to code so I could build my own tools to find the little mistakes, like the timestamps or the frame rates. Hector sighed, his expression a mix of sorrow and immense pride. I didn't want her near this tech stuff, sir, he said to Daniel, his voice heavy. In my country where I grew up, you learn not to be noticed. To be too smart to draw attention that could be dangerous. I just wanted her to be safe. I never understood. I never knew she could do this. Daniel looked from the father to the daughter, and a profound sense of clarity washed over him. For an hour, he had been consumed by his own reputation, his own power. He saw now that power was a fragile shield. But this girl, she wasn't motivated by power or money. She was motivated by a fierce, pure desire for truth. He walked over and knelt slightly, bringing himself to her eye level. The powerful CEO was gone, replaced by a man humbled and deeply grateful. Hector, he said, not taking his eyes off Lena. I've seen you in the halls for 10 years, and I'm ashamed to say I never properly learned your name. I apologize. He then looked back at Lena. What you did today, it was more than just saving my company. It was extraordinary. He asked her gently, what do you want to do when you grow up, Lena? Lena didn't hesitate. I want to make a tool that proves what's real and what isn't, she said. A tool that anyone can use, so they can see the truth for themselves. So what happened to Mr. Evans never happens to anyone else. In that moment, the emotional release in the room was palpable. It was about redemption not just for Daniel, but for the very idea that a nobody could hold the key to everything. The next day, there were no hushed rumors or scandalous leaks. Instead, a different kind of story dominated the business news cycle. The headline on the front page of the Wall Street Journal's website read, Teen exposes sophisticated AI blackmailer during corporate attack at Reed Tech. Daniel Reed stood before a room full of journalists, a changed man. There was no spin, no corporate doublespeak. He told them the unvarnished truth. He told them his company had been targeted, that he had been the subject of a malicious deepfake, and that they had been minutes away from a disaster of unimaginable proportions. A skeptical reporter from a tech journal raised her hand. Mr. Reed, are you seriously asking us to believe that a 14-year-old girl did what your entire multi-million-dollar cybersecurity team couldn't? Daniel met her gaze without flinching. I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm telling you it's what happened. And it's taught me that the most valuable assets we have aren't always the ones on the payroll. We should all be listening more to her generation. They are the natives in this new digital world where the rest of us are just tourists. He then announced that the company was offering Lena Ortiz a full-ride scholarship to any university she chose for her computer science education, including MIT or Stanford. He was also creating a new, paid internship for her in their cybersecurity R&D division, effective immediately, with the sole mission of helping her build the tool she dreamed of. Later that afternoon in his office, Daniel had Hector brought in. He slid an envelope across the desk. Hector, this is a bonus for your years of service, and as a small token of my immense gratitude. Hector, the humble and proud janitor, gently pushed the envelope back. Sir, my daughter's honor is not for sale, he said quietly. You have given my Lena a future. You have seen her for who she is. That is a gift that no amount of money can buy. Thank you. As Hector walked out of the office, his back straight and his head held high, Daniel saw him pause in the hallway and wipe a tear from his eye. The final scene isn't in the gleaming corporate tower. It's weeks later, in a noisy sunlit high school library. Lena is sitting with a group of friends, laughing as she helps one of them with a physics problem. In front of her is a brand new, top-of-the-line laptop with a small, discreet sticker on it that reads, Property of Reed Tech R&D. On the screen is the first prototype of an app she is building. The interface is simple. A single drag-and-drop box and a large button that says, Analyze. She has already named it Very Proof. She looks up, her expression bright and full of purpose. She is no longer just the janitor's kid, no longer invisible. She is a builder, a protector, the future. And as the camera focuses on her determined face, a simple truth settles in like the quiet closing of a book. The future belongs to those who can see through the noise. Stories like this about the unsung heroes who change everything are what keep us going. If you were moved by Lena's quiet courage and her incredible mind, I've put a link down in the comments to a whole playlist of more stories just like this one. Stories about the underdogs who stepped up and shocked the world. Thank you for watching.